everyone, this is Brian from ActiveMelody.com. Well, in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to take a look at a Keith Richards style rhythm and lead. Now, Keith has a very unique way of playing rhythm. You can always tell it's him. He's got a lot of signature licks, and we're going to dissect some of those. But he's also got a very signature way of playing lead. And to me, Keith is a good combination of blues and country. You know, you kind of mix those two, you end up with rock and roll anyway. And so, Keith has a little more country than a lot of people realize. He's very twangy. He plays on a Telecaster most of the time. And just very cool musician. In fact, I just saw the Rolling Stones here in Nashville a few nights ago. And even though he's in his 70s, he's still got it. So, anyway, we're going to split this into two parts. In this part, we're going to take a look at the rhythm. If you want to download the jam track, the MP3 file that you can practice with, that'll definitely help get your timing down. So you're going to get that at ActiveMelody.com. Just look for EP106. That's the lesson number for this lesson. You'll also be able to download the tablature and the on-screen tab viewer, and you'll have access to the part 2 video, which will be the lead part. But let's go ahead in this video and take a look at the rhythm. Alright, so let's talk through tone settings real quick. I'm playing on the Telecaster, and I have the pickup selector switch on the bridge pickup, and I have the tone and the volume all the way up. I am using one pedal, which is a Tube Screamer by Ibanez, which is a TS808 pedal. And I have the overdrive at about 60%. The tone and the level are both at about 75%, I would say. And that's really it. So don't get too caught up in effects. You don't need a lot. You just need some, if you want to sound like Keith, you need a little bit of overdrive. You can plug straight into an amp and get that. You don't have to have it, though. You can do this on an acoustic guitar. You can do it clean channel. This will work in a variety of different ways. One other thing to point out is I'm playing in standard tuning. So that's, Keith will play oftentimes in open G tuning. And in fact, he'll even lose his 6th string. He'll take that off and just play open G. But we're going to be playing standard tuning, and this just because I want to make this accessible and something that you can play. You don't have to, rig a guitar and take strings off and all that stuff. That's not practical. So anyway, there's 4 chords used in this. There's an A chord, a D chord, a G chord, and a C chord. These are all chords that we know. Now I'm going to show you how to play the D chord and the G chord in a little different way. But you know those chords. But what gives Keith his signature sound is he'll start with a chord, he'll jump real quickly to another chord, and then go back to a chord. Let me demonstrate that. For example, in A, see how I play an A, and then I go to a D. Now this is a different way of making a D, but I'll show you how to do it. Or he'll go to a D and play real quickly go to a G, and then back to a D. Now that's a Keith thing that he does a lot, and it gives, when you hear that, you think Rolling Stones, you think Keith Richards, and so we're going to be covering that as well as the right hand. There's a strumming technique on this that's just a lot of down up, so you keep your hand in motion the whole time, and that's going to be probably your biggest challenge in learning this. This is a great lesson, by the way, on rhythm. If you struggle with timing and rhythm, this is a really good one, because we're going to go into some ghost strums where you've got notes that don't make a noise, but they're rhythmic and they're part of the flow of your right hand in motion. And so we're going to be covering all of that. So if you've got the jam track, this really will help you with your timing. So definitely want to check that out. Let's learn the notes first, and then we'll get into the jam track. That's how you can practice this. All right, so let's start this thing. We'll start with what the left hand is doing. So I'm barring the first 4 strings on the 2nd fret, but I'm only playing strings 5, 4, and 3. Those 3. Those are the 3 I'm trying to hit. Now you can accidentally hit the 2nd string, and that's going to work as well. That's part of the A chord, but these 3 are the ones you're trying to hit. So the first thing that you're going to play is a downstroke, followed by a ghost strum, or just sort of a muted strum, like this. Now the way I do the muted strum is, so we play our A chord like this, then I just let my fingers just kind of rest on the strings, so mute some. And so that's my 2nd strum. And both of those are downstrokes. So the first one, the second one. That's how you're going to start this. Now watch the hand. If you notice the hand without anything, the motion is always there. Down, up, down, up, down, up. So even when you're just playing downstrokes, your hand obviously has to come back up to be able to play that downstroke. So just keep that in mind. And once you get this thing going, you'll feel it. It's going to feel awkward in the beginning, but just bear with me. So okay, so that's how we're starting it. Now watch this. So we have. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do an upstroke, and we're going to play the open 3rd, 4th, and 5th string. No hand on the fretboard there. It's just those open strings. That's the G string, the D string, and the A string. And then we're going to hammer on that A chord with our pointer finger. Those same 4 strings. So we're going to go. So the thing to pay attention to is with the right hand, it's an upstroke. And then we're going to do one more upstroke to follow it up. So it goes. Now, let's put the 2 pieces together. I'll do it slowly. We have. Let me do it again. Okay. Now, after that, we're going to do a down, up, down, but they're going to be muted like this. So watch this. See it? Or hear it, rather? Now notice again the right hand is always in motion. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now watch this. What I did for that, this is where I'm going to hammer on that D chord that I mentioned. And so the way you do it is, we'll do the left hand first and we'll get to the right hand. The left hand starts with that A chord, barring the first 4 strings are on the 2nd fret, but we're going to hammer on our middle finger onto the 3rd fret 2nd string, and then our ring finger goes down to the 4th fret 4th string, and we're going to play strings 2, 3, and 4 like this. And we're going to do it with an upstroke with the right hand. So it goes. So we start with that, which is an A chord, and then by hammering that on, that's actually a D chord. It's a different way of making a D chord than maybe you're used to. If you analyze it, the D chord that you are used to is right here. It's in there. You've just added another note to kind of the low end there. Instead of just playing the open D, looks like this. You've got this note in there. So, okay, so let's back up. We're going to hammer on, and then we're going to do a downstroke and go. We're going to play it, and then do a pull off with both of those fingers. So together it sounds like this. You can start to hear that Keith Richards sound right there. So let's put the 2, or I guess 3 pieces now. Let's put it all together up to this point. So we have. Now, let me do it again. I'm going to do it slowly. In fact, I'm just going to keep looping it so you can start to get the feel for this. Let me try that again. Again. Starts to feel, you start to get the feel of that. Now, at the end of this, there's another ghost strum, or a little downstroke there that's a muted. So we have like that. And what that allows you to do is get in position to play the D chord. Now, really what we're doing is we're doing the exact same thing we just did here, but we're going to do it up here. So when we're making this chord, this is a D chord, but I'm using the A shape. So you can see my pinky is really doing what this finger did. I use my pinky. Some of you may use your ring finger for that, but that's how I make it. And so it's just barring the first 4 strings now on the 7th fret, and we use our pointer finger to come down here and play on the 5th string on the 5th fret. So if you think about what's going on, it's the same thing that happened here. Let me play it with different fingers so you can see your nut replaced or your finger replaced what the nut was doing. So just think of that as the A shape. So now we're going to play. So then when we play the D part, it goes like this. Now it starts with just that D chord there with one downstroke followed by a ghost strum like this, or a muted strum. So it's 2 downstrokes. Now watch what happens next. That's an upstroke, and I do a hammer-on and a pull-off with my left hand. Now I'm using the same little shape that I did here when we did but I'm doing it up here now, so that I'm barring the first 4 strings on the 7th fret. So same pattern, visualize it. Your middle finger would be going down on the 8th fret 2nd string, and your ring finger would go down on the 9th fret 4th string. And we're gonna again just play those middle or those 3 strings, which would be 2, 3, and 4. So you can, that's actually a G chord. It's a different way of making it. But you can see what happens there. You hammer it on and you pull it off. So let me play the D part. It goes. The important thing to remember is that's an upstroke, like that. The reason it has to be an upstroke is it happens at that point in the motion. Your hand just stays going like this. See how natural it looks? Alright, so let's put that A part, the first part, and the second part, the D part, together. So here's what we have. We have at the end of the D part, after the upstroke, where you got the hammer on and pull off, there's 2 downstrokes that are muted strums. 1, 2. And that gets you, timing wise, into the next part, which is it goes from a C chord to a G chord. But that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna after we play those 2 downstrokes, we're gonna come down and play a C chord. The only C chord, the way that you probably know how to do it already, but the only difference is I use my pinky here on the 3rd fret 1st string to play that G note in the C chord there. It just kind of colors it in a nice way, because you're going to go to the G chord after that anyway. So to strum that C to G, it goes like this. So it goes up, down, down, up, up, down, down, up. Up, down, down, up. Notice another thing. Notice how I'm making my G chord. So I've got the C chord like this. I just move real quickly. This finger does not even go down on the fretboard for the G chord. And I've mentioned this in other lessons, but my ring finger comes up here to the 3rd fret 6th string. Middle finger goes down on the 2nd fret 5th string. That's a G chord. You may have learned a G chord like this. But it's a lot easier. It's actually a lot more recommended to play a G chord like this, because you can real quickly go back and forth between that C and G. And then it loops at that point right back to the A. So that's it. There's an A part, and this is how I think of it, an A part, a D part, and a G part. And now you're alternating between chords in each of those, but that's really, if you were to simplify it. So let me back up. I'll do it slowly. I'll play through the whole thing. And that'll conclude this first part, this rhythm part. Again, download the jam track and practice along with it. And also check out the tab if you haven't already. And there you go. That's the Keith Richards rhythm. Just so much fun to play. If you want to move on to part 2, the part 2 video, I'll show you how to do all of that lead stuff, kind of the country twangy stuff. So there's a lot of material in this lesson, especially if you're a Keith fan or a Rolling Stones fan. But anyway, we'll see you in part 2.